Just the last couple of years, I think this is year 3 maybe that they allowed us to start our preseason practice prior to October 15th. It used to be October 15th or the Friday closest was the time in which you got started. And you really felt pressured as a coach to try to get everything in about a 3-week period prior to exhibition games and then the season, which quickly followed. Now they've allowed us to start much earlier. It was October 2nd or 3rd or 4th, somewhere in that range, where we've gotten about 17 practices in. Even though we've been going at it now, we're in our 4th week. It enables us to not have to over-stress them from a timeliness standpoint. We go about 3 days on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, which has been good for us because we've had a few injuries. Terry Brutus, unfortunately, had another surgery to his other ankle, so he's still probably about 2 weeks prior to getting back to being able to be on the floor. Martavius Newby had an eye issue that has since been resolved, and he's back to practicing and going full speed. We've had a few bumps and bruises here or there. We had a young man not qualify, so that took our numbers down to 12. So immediately, we were dealing with 9-10 bodies at times in practice, which this new rule has been advantageous because it's enabled us to get guys back to full strength.
With Terry, does it seem like he's just snake bit at one?
It's unfortunate too. Here's a kid, this, man, he's a kid that without which we wouldn't have won an SEC tournament championship. He was thrust into battle due to injuries to DeMarco Cox and Aaron Jones, and he was really beneficial to us as a third post when we made that run and won 6 or 7 in a row at the end of the season. So I hate it for him. He's been about 2 years where he just cannot seem to get back healthy. He was playing great too. He had his explosiveness back, and hopefully after this setback he'll be able to rejoin us here in a couple of weeks and get back to helping this team.
Now that Jarvis is retired, run out of eligibility, how are you guys different at the point stylistically and stuff?
It's totally different. I'm going into my 10th season here, but I've really only had, I count 2 guys that played for me from freshman to senior, and Chris Warren, who's doing very well in Greece, and Jarvis. Both those guys. That's 8 of my years. Tarico did it when Chris got hurt and did it well, SEC Freshman of the Year for 1 season, and then obviously Todd did it well. He was an all-SEC point guard when I got here for the 1 year when Todd was a senior. So this is a new wave for me in that I've got 2 guys, one's a freshman and one's a junior college transfer, that we're asking to lead this team, and we're giving them a lot of information, and we're trying to overload them in a number of different ways, and I've been pleased with both of them. They're vastly different than Jarvis. Sam Finley is the guy that if we started a game today, and thank goodness we don't, but if we started a game today, he would have the ball and he would be the guy that we would be dependent upon to lead us. 6'1", he's about 190 pounds. He's athletic, he's strong, he's very fast with the ball, makes shots, got a scorer's mentality, and he's been really receptive to a lot of the things that we've thrust upon him to this stage. He's a little bit like Moody in that his story is similar. Riverside, California, played for UC Riverside in the Big West as a true freshman, was the Big West Freshman of the Year. Had a coaching change, transferred, as opposed to sitting out like Moody, went to the junior college route and in Texas, ironically enough. And we found him, and he's never really played point guard full time in his life. He's always been kind of a scoring combo. We're putting him in a little bit of a different situation, but I think physically he'll have no problem with it. Now it's just a mindset thing and trying to garner some experience as we get into the season. The other kid is JT Escobar, who we had signed the previous year because of our log jam with upperclassmen at the point. He opted to go to prep school, and it was beneficial to him. It helped him a lot. He played at a high level, got a lot of minutes, and he's come in here, and he's also kind of been a combo his whole life, asked to score. And he'll be given an opportunity to also help us at that point.
What kind of shooter has Tomas been for you in practice?
He's a good shooter, very good shooter. This team is different. I guess every team is different year in and year out, but this one is much more offensively versatile than any group that I've had. Tomas and AP, Anthony Perez, are both stretch fours. And I started thinking, we haven't had, last year, AP, his sophomore year, played a lot at the four for us. We brought in MJ Rhett last year, and MJ could stretch out to about 15 feet, but he wasn't a three-point shooter. So really, we haven't had a lot of stretch fours in our program, and it's not by choice. I like them, but we've just never been able to incorporate them into what we're trying to do. With AP this year, he'll play exclusively as a stretch four, and Tomas, who because it's 6'9", 230, 235, can play some five as well, depending upon matchup. We've got two guys that can really stretch the floor, and I think between the two, we're gonna be able to make. We better be able to make, 70 or 80, 90, 100 threes maybe between the two. So they both can shoot the ball. There are times they'll play together, which will give us 5 positions that could stretch out, which gives us a lot of versatility offensively.
How's camp been for Cephas, and what more are you expecting out of him with Colby and Brett gone?
Yeah, I think Cephas, going into a junior, I think he's to the stage where he's about to take that next step. Physically, he's in the best shape of his life. He's 6'9", extremely long, 7'6" wingspan. Thank goodness his arms have not gotten any shorter. He's about 240 now, but his body has changed. He's more athletic. He can move better. Strength is much better in his lower body, which enables him to garner low post position. I think he's a guy that we can throw it close to and he can score. Last year he developed into a pretty consistent 15, 16-foot shooter. I've challenged him to be a double-double guy, go lead the SEC in rebounding. I think he'll have the opportunity to do that. For him, the next step is to garner all league votes. And if he does so and anchors us up front, I think it'll go a long way toward helping this team be successful.
Are you worried at all with Terry out? I mean, I asked you about Dwight, but I mean the depth behind Cephas, I guess.
We're probably longer, more athletic than we've been in the front court, but we don't have a lot of girth. Cephas is the only guy on the team over 240 pounds. Obviously, Dwight was a big kid, and Terry's around 240 as well, a different dynamic. But we've got right now, 4 guys in there with Cephas, Tomas, AP, and Marcavis Hyman, who's about 220, but he's an athletic. I would compare him more closely to Murph than anybody else in that he's around the ball. He's quick off his feet. I think he'll probably be our leading shot blocker because of his athleticism. Between those 4, we're going to have to man the 80 minutes that you get up front, and I don't have any problem with doing that with those guys.
Our rebounding has been kind of a struggle the last couple seasons. I mean, without that girth, how much do you worry about that, or do you think you guys can be better?
Well, we've just got to do it a different way.
Yeah.
The dynamics of this group, we're going to have to be athletic and quick people to the ball. We've got athleticism on our wings. Martavius Newby, led us in rebounding last year. Newby's back as a senior and really playing with a senior sense of urgency you hope to see. Cephas was our best rebounder per minute. And he's a guy that, again, we hope takes that next step and can get us around 9 or 10 a game. We lost Snoop White. Snoop got us around 3 or so at the wing. We replaced him with a kid named Rasheed Brooks, who's really a good rebounder. I'd be surprised if he couldn't get in the 5 range. Coupled with his ability to stretch the defense and make shots. He's a good perimeter defender. He's got a very high basketball IQ. And then I've challenged Moody to, he got us around 4 a game in league play last year. I really think because he is such an athlete, that if he's determined, he could be a guy that could really help us rebound from his spot. And we're going to have to rebound some at the 1. Sam's a guy that, again, based on athleticism, is going to be in there, be able to go in and get some. And then we've got a kid who is as athletic of players that we brought in the program in quite some time, and Terrence Davis, who at 6'4", off the wing, is a phenomenal rebounder, as good an offensive rebounder as I've had from the wing. That when he gets a chance to make an impact, it'll be defensively with athleticism over the top and his ability to go get rebounds.
Every year you've been here, you've always wanted to go fast, and that's, if you could have it your way, you can go fast. With this personnel not having that girth, being more versatile, do you feel like you can speed it up a little bit?
We're going to have to play fast. We've had one inter squad scrimmage. Just make sure I said that right. Didn't sound right. And we were on pace, both teams at around 100 points. We shot it extremely well. Collectively, we were over 50% from 3, which is a little unrealistic. But I do think this team can play with pace. It's going to have to. The shot clock changing from 35 to 30, I don't think it's going to have the impact a lot of people do. But some of the rules, we're scrimmaging again tomorrow. We're bringing in SEC quality officials, and we're still trying to make some adjustments to the way in which the game's going to be called. And there is going to be a transition for all of us, and we're trying to practice that way. Freedom of movement, which allows people more lanes to the basket, and therefore, scoring with our group as well as across the country, they're hoping will be up. For us, we need the scores to be up based on our personnel.
With how many new guys you have, how would you kind of assess how much or how quickly they've been able to get acclimated to you and to this team and the other members of this team?
For us, I've been really pleased with how the transition has gone. With the rule changes that they've now allowed us to have access to our kids in the summer, it feels like we've been practicing for a long time. Most guys get here in summer school, they work out all summer. Us having the ability to touch them and to start implementing different things and seeing how quickly they can make adjustments, make reads, what is in their best interest offensively, defensively. We've made those changes, and now we're starting to formulate who we think we could be. And in the next couple of weeks, we hope we can get that cemented, because once we start games, November 13th, the opener, we play like 7 games, I believe, within the first 10 days or so. So it comes really, really fast for us.
Does the new 30-second shot clock, does that kind of want you to get the ball at the floor a lot quicker anyway?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of an overreach on some of the rules. Again, 35 to 30 is not going to make any difference to us whatsoever. I think some of the rules are not good for the game long term, and I think there'll be a real correction to that after this year. I think there's some things in there that just don't make sense. For instance, closely guarded, the 5-second count. Now there is no closely guarded rule, which doesn't make a lot of sense. People aren't going to want to pressure because there's no payoff for that pressure. The fact that coaches can't call timeouts, who in the hell voted for that? I mean, which coach in the world? Talking about transparency, let's see which coach voted for that. I mean, you can't call timeout? So now if I tell my players, you have to call timeout, we'll burn them all within the first. I mean, no coach will have a timeout in the second half. I'm not even going to tell my players that they call timeout. I'm hoping the refs, I'm hoping when I yell it loud enough that their instincts take over and they'll give you one anyway. So some of the things are just crazy, but for me selfishly and the way our team is designed, it's beneficial, because we won't have to change anything we do offensively. We change defenses a good bit, which creates some confusion, which helps us with the shorter shot clock. So for me personally, it's advantageous. I don't think it's good for the game, some of the things that they've implemented.
What was your reaction when you first heard of Steph's injury, and were you surprised that he's been able to come back and be as well as he appears to be?
It's really incredible. First, just a little background because we haven't spoken, but he has no signs of anything. He gets inadvertently kicked in the shin. It created some bruising and some soreness. Our medical people were on top of it, just being precautious based on the fact that we're in the middle of the summer. Let's don't take any chances. And they discovered something that could have been devastating. It was unrelated to the kick at all. They found it. I'm on the road recruiting. I didn't even know he got kicked. I wasn't in. It was just an open gym, no coaches in there. So this happens on a Thursday. They get the x-ray on a Friday. He's having surgery on a Saturday. They're putting a rod in his leg. And I'm thinking, wow, what just happened? He bounces back, not unlike Laquan Treadwell. I mean, something that could have been devastating to a normal person. You're shocked at the level in which they come back and the speed of which they come back. He's had no ill effects whatsoever. It could be, again, he's a senior. He is stronger. He's playing with a real sense of urgency. He's actually running faster, jumping higher than he ever had.
The fact that he was recognized in Charlotte as a first-team preseason, how much do you hope that he takes on his shoulders, or how much do you want to place on his shoulders?
Well, I just think it was an acknowledgement of the fact that for my money, he's the best guard in the SEC. There's nobody in the Southeastern Conference that I would trade him for. He's a guy that got close to 19 a game, led the league in scoring in SEC play, led his team to an NCAA tournament victory, was first team All-League last year. What I've tried to do is take some pressure off, because he's a kid that puts a lot of pressure on himself. And so I've tried to just say, hey man, just go out and play. duplicate your numbers, that's going to come, but what I've really impressed upon him is I want him to take ownership of the team, really be a leader, impose your will on this group, maintain a standard for these new guys. And they respect him so much. He works so hard. They see how quickly, he came back from an injury which could have been catastrophic if not caught in a timely fashion. He hasn't missed a day of practice because of that or anything else, and he's really locked in and focused.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.